I made a decision a long time ago when my father passed away that I would always reflect upon death. This will be a little bit deep. I don't know how deep your audience goes, but
Deep.
okay.
Get the shovel.
Yeah. So there's a most people know Marcus Aurelius and his writings, and it's considered to be Stoicism. If you haven't heard that, and one of the things that he teaches, one of the things he wrote in his journal that we now have, is he says that he reflected upon death twice a day, when he woke up and when he went to bed. And I started to study that thought process, and I actually realized why I was successful at such a young age. So I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and my father passed away when I was 21. He was 47 years old, and essentially passed on to me like, hey, dude, you're the one now. You got to be the one to take care of everybody. You got to take care of mom. You got to take care of the kids. I don't know if that was fair or not, but I don't also think his death was fair. So, I took that on my shoulders. But because of that, I was put into a perspective that changed my life. And that perspective was that I always consider death almost every single day. Every single day. I consider my own death, and I consider the death of those around me. And sometimes I think people think of that in a dark way, but it's not dark. It's not at all. So the reason why it's so important to do this, and why Marcus Aurelius even taught this, or I should say wrote it, is because what it does is it teaches you and puts you in a perspective to understand each situation the right way. So, for example, you and I are close. We're best friends. And you and I get in an argument, and you say something stupid and I say something stupid, and then we break apart and we don't talk for months and months and months, right? Like, let's just say that's a thing. And that happens a lot with people in marriages and relationships. But if every day I sat just for a moment and said, what if your best friend Flex passed away tomorrow? Would you be okay with what you said? And would you be okay with you guys breaking apart? Or would you sit at his casket and feel regret? And when you think about things like that, it puts into a perspective what should be for every single person to make the right decision for the rest of your life. So for me, like looking at this and talking about balance, the reason I'm able to put all of this in, because, dude, I work 12 to 15 hours a day. And then I have gym time, and then I have wife time, and then I have 4 beautiful daughter time, and I have friend time. Now, I don't give balance in time. I give balance in energy, and the energy in which I put into everything is set because of the perspective in which I have. And that perspective is, Keaton, what if your children die tomorrow? What if your wife were to pass away tomorrow? What if you were to go tomorrow? And in that thought, I automatically make the right decision to give me the energy and balance that I need to put into every single one of them every single day. And you know this because you're just as busy as I am. When we spend time together, we're not on our phones. We're not thinking about what's going on. When we spend time together, we're all there. Right? Like, even when you came down to my house a few weeks ago and we went snowboarding, like, dude, I had 50 things going on that day, right?
Yeah.
But nothing else mattered because it was you and Allie and me and Maddie, and we had the most beautiful day ever, right? It was just great.
Incredible.
And being able to wake up, put yourself in that perspective on a regular basis is really what gives me the ability to, number one, have balance in everything that I do, but number two, to teach balance. Because if I can teach people, hey, listen, dude, you are not going to live for forever. And those around you that you love the most are not going to live for forever. And forever, although sounds wonderful, that means that every one of us are mortal, and we don't really know the time that we have left. So if that's the case, maybe we should live in the highest piece of perspective possible, saying, what if today is the last day? And in doing that, every single thing that you have in your life that is important, you'll find balance for, and everything that isn't, you'll just cut out. And if you do that, that's when your life actually really starts to change. That's one of the biggest things that I teach in Limitless Society, and that's one of the things I believe that is helping people change their life. And although it sounds a little bit like dark and dreary to say, hey, you should focus on death or think about death often, it doesn't actually put you in that perspective. It puts you in a much more beautiful perspective. And that perspective is how grateful I am for this moment that I have.
man. Incredible. Even my producer in the back is just like, that's beautiful, man. I mean, I think about death a lot too. But I think a lot of my times is reflecting on, just like you said, words that weren't said.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And even though I've not kind of flipped it to your perspective, like thinking about it as a motivational factor to make sure the right words are said, or, you know, and listen, you know how I am. I'm a Welsh guy, ginger beard, hard head. I say what I say, and sometimes I shouldn't say it, but then I feel like, well, at least you know how I feel.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that doesn't necessarily work, right? Yeah. There's a maturity element that has come with me now, having the businesses, multiple businesses. You kind of start learning by your mistakes, and I'm sure what you've just said too, you've gone through life, and I know this answer, to get to that point where you've learned enough to now know that, okay, I'm not going this direction.
Yes.
I need to go this direction because this is the better way to deal with this situation, or I will lose a friend by acting this way or that way. But to circle back, you know, there's been many times where I've not said enough to somebody, not told somebody I love them enough, and they've left the earth.
Yep. And that's a miserable feeling.
Oh, I could get upset right now.
Absolutely, dude. That's a miserable feeling. And that's one of the reasons why, if you can just set your mindset out to do those things, you never have to do that or feel that again. You really don't. Because you would ultimately be in a mindset that essentially is always set for that moment, which is he could or she could be gone tomorrow. Yeah. And even better than all of that is, well, I could be gone tomorrow. One of the most beautiful things I saw from on stage, one of my favorite people is Ed Milet. He's just one of my favorite people. And he said, you know what your problem is? Your problem is you think everybody else is going to die. And that hit me. I thought, holy shit, I do. I don't really even think about my own death. You know, but if you put that in perspective and you say, okay, if I were to die tomorrow, am I set up essentially to be in the place that I would want for my family, my friends, my loved ones, everybody, to not have regret about our relationship and the things that we did and the things we spoke on and all of the wonderful things that we partook together, you know? And again, that has just set me out in a perspective. And that's not to say I don't mess up. I mess up all the time.
All the time.
All the time. But I also
we won't talk about it on the podcast.
No.
You know, we're doing really well now, Keaton, okay?
Yeah. We won't talk. But also that allows me to be in that perspective. I mean, dude, we say it. It's funny, dude. It's so funny how many people, if they listen to our conversations, would laugh like, who are these two big dudes that say I love you every time that they leave, right? Like, that's a different thing. Yeah. But the truth is
that's true.
You don't know. You don't know when the last time is. Yeah. And I want my last time, if I don't see you again, to say, hey, I told him I loved him before I saw him.
Yeah, I know.
You know? And that perspective, again, even saying I love you, I say it to all my friends. Yeah. Like you saw even Ryan just left. I said, hey, love you, buddy. That is because the perspective. It's so easy to go, oh, I'm too tough. I don't say I love you to my friends. Yeah. No, man. If I were to die tomorrow, I remember the last thing I said to you was, hey, man, I love you.
Thank you for watching this segment. Check out the full interview on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. Help us by subscribing, leave a like, comment, or a positive review. Click this to see what YouTube recommends, and this to see the full interview. See you on the next one. Out.